Welcome, patrons. Around the fandom, there is some buzz about an 8th old god. But what exactly do we know about it? Well, really not that much, but let's at least talk about it. Draconis. Another old god as a concept really only appears in one place, in the Codex entry Constellation Draconis, which is associated with one of the astrariums in the hinterlands. To get you caught up, let's just listen to the whole thing. Draconis. Called High Dragon in common parlance, the constellation Draconis is always depicted by a dragon in flight. Recently, it has come into question whether this was the case in the ancient Imperium. Most Tevinter dragon imagery was reserved for the old gods, so why would they dedicate a constellation to dragons in general when specific dragons were held in such reverence? The speculation is fueled by older drawings showing Draconis as more serpentine in appearance, perhaps depicting a sea creature or an unknown 8th old god that was stricken from historical record. From a study of the Dojian astronomy by Sister Oren Petartrius. So, in summary, in lore scholars debate why Tevinter would have a constellation about dragons in general when they also worship specific dragons. This then leads to older drawings of Draconis which make it look more like a snake, and then the debate shifts to if this is a sea creature or an old god that was erased. Which, a quick rant, the ancient Tevinters knew that the old gods took the form of dragons, but were not actually dragons themselves. So a constellation about just dragons in general doesn't actually seem that crazy to me. Maybe this is just an error in there or something. I'm not quite sure. There's even a possibility that as this is written from a Chantry scholar, that the Chantry doesn't have that much knowledge about the old gods and their worship, so would find this confusing. But anyway, that's really all the facts we have. So let's just jump into crazy theory. The Sea. Now, after the release of Tevinter Nights and various trailers, the Seas and Thetas have become 1000% more suspicious. If you have not read the book yet, in one of the short stories Horror of Hormak, there was a strange goop in what appears to be a place dedicated to Gillenon in the deep roads. This goop mixes and mashes living creatures who touch it into monsters that also seem to be under some sort of control, and is said to smell of the sea. Mixing this new information with more codex entries from Inquisition, Gillenon is said to have created various sea monsters, and when she was to destroy them, Pride stopped her hand. The word pride being capitalized, the theory also extends to this being soulless. Along with this new concept art of what seems to be a sea monster coming from the ocean that was released last year, perhaps Draconis was a monster that was created by Gillenon, one so powerful it might have been worshipped or honored by the early Tevinters. But this obviously stopped, as there is no record as to what Draconis actually was. So what happened to this creature? Could this have something to do with the Veil coming up, as early humans have no record of the Veil's creation either? The Old Gods. The Codex also suggests that Draconis could be an 8th old god. I talked about this in more depth in my trailer breakdown video, but as a very short version. So the strange statues in Dragon Age Origins and concept art of that statue is the original design of which Archdemon Arthemiel was supposed to be. It was changed to be a dragon in Origins due to actually needing more dragons in a game called Dragon Age. That's actually literally what happened, but this design has been lurking in the dark for some time. The head shape of this archdemon concept also appears in a cut mosaic from Trespasser, along with 2 other head shapes that did end up making it into the game as statues. One of these statue shapes, which is not in the mosaic but is a part of this statue grouping, is pretty much identical to the one seen in the new mural, along with this new concept art. Now, something that didn't make it into the final video for the trailer is that a larger version of the mural was found, and this new larger image expanded the lower bodies of the 2 figures who we had dubbed Moonhead and Beetle. Beetle's is a bit harder to tell and could be robes or even tentacles, but Moonhead is 100% tentacles, which matches nicely with Arthemiel's concept art. So then at least Moonhead is an old god, right? And it would make sense considering some of the imagery shown that these 2 figures are of Razikael, the only female old god, and Lusicon. We also have other imagery associated with Dragon Age 4 that has 2 dragons on the cover, and the tambourine has 7 bells with only 2 lit up. Surely this is them, right? Well, then why is an old god coming from the ocean? Did Solus or someone else free her? Was she not locked in the deep roads with the rest of her kin? Well, maybe Moonhead isn't Razikael, but is actually number 8. the theory. This is a complete what if here, but what if number 8 is both a sea monster and was once considered an old god? What if Gillenon, who created tons of sea monsters and then set out to destroy them, was stalked by Solus? Solus then took control or began to work with one of these creatures, Moonhead to be specific. We still don't know the purpose of the old gods or what they really were, but what if Solus had tried to mimic them with Moonhead? Perhaps this creature could do something that the old gods were able to do, maybe copy their form or speak in dreams or really a wide variety of things. Fenrirel had a history of being able to walk among both the elven gods and the forgotten ones, but what if he tried to pass as other types of deities as well? Well, at this point, I'm not really sure why he would. What if he was sort of a James Randi of the Elven, making it his life's mission to debunk those that pretend and take advantage of others? And number 8 was a fake old god he created to prove that these old gods weren't as godly as they claimed. Now, normally I would go into evidence and debunking, but with literally the only source for this being, well, everything I have on screen right now, I think you all can draw your own conclusions on if you think this is plausible or just a bunch of bunk. But either way, the baseline is there is some sort of rumor of an 8th old god, and it's only a matter of time till we either have more information or meet them in person, or we find out it's just, nothing. And that, dear patrons, is all that I have on the mysterious 8th old god. Do you still have lingering questions, proof that I'm wrong, comments about your own fan theory? Feel free to tweet me at @Glorithon on Twitter or send a PM to user Gillenon on Reddit. Duresh all.